everyone, Miss Nancy here with the Azle Library, and I have some wonderful children's books to show you today that I hope you'll come in and check out from our collection. I'm going to start with a picture book, and this one is called And Two Boys Boone by Judith. Now Judith became a very well-known children's book author over 40 years ago with her classic Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, and she's been on a roll ever since. This new offering is called And Two Boys Boone, and it's about a young boy who is ready to perform in a talent show at school, except he gets cold feet after 4 kids go in front of him and 2 boys boo. The reader will watch the boy shrink into his sweater as he waits for his turn. I think we've all been in this situation, and we all wonder how he is going to get through this. So he gets on stage and he freezes, and the 2 boys in the back boo, and that starts the real part of the story. Now my heart was in my throat for this little kid as I turned every page, and the nice thing about it is that this is a very unique book in that the illustrator has chosen to show you how he looks on the outside, but how he feels on the inside. So for example, he says, I started dancing my hands. Well, he's not really doing much on the outside, but this is how he feels on the inside. I started reading my toes. He looks like he's just looking at his toes, but here he is reading his toes. Does he finally get the courage to perform? He's practiced a billion times. This tale is about overcoming fear, and it's also a book about people encouraging others to overcome their fear. It's illustrated by Sophie Blackall, and it would really make a lovely book to share one-on-one with a child. Talk about how this little boy feels and how they feel about it and how they will overcome fear too. So, And Two Boys Booed by Judith. My next story is actually nonfiction again. I love nonfiction. And it's all about big things. It's really hard to wrap your head around big things. Big numbers, our big universe, big inventions, all that kind of thing. But David J. Smith's book, If, a mind-bending new way of looking at big ideas and numbers is just the way to do it. Smith uses a process called scaling, which is basically taking something small in our world and relating it to something huge. So, I have a few examples here. If you take a dinner plate and you say this dinner plate represents the Milky Way, and you put a speck of dust on that dinner plate, the speck of dust is our solar system with all its planets and the sun. That's how it relates. It's something we can understand a little better. All the water in the world, if you put all the water in the world into 100 glasses, only 3 of them would have fresh water in them. And you'd have to take away 2 of those to have all the water that the whole earth has to drink, because the other 2 are trapped in glaciers, the atmosphere, and deep, deep underneath where we can't get it. That's it. 1 glass. That's all the water we have, which really makes it very precious. Here's an ordinary measuring tape. And if you have this represent all the inventions from the time humans first appeared on Earth till now, the very first invention, fire, being at the beginning, we have to go all the way down to the end, and the last 1/10 of an inch represents all the inventions in the last 2,000 years. Telephones, computers, railroad trains, Morse code, cell phones, video games, DVDs, you name it. all in the last 1/10. So it really helps you understand the way inventions have worked over time and our place in the universe. If a mind-bending new way of looking at big ideas and numbers is a fascinating book, and I invite you to take it and see if you can wrap your mind around big things like big numbers and our big world that we live in. David J. Smith, and it's illustrated by Steve Adams. And finally, I want to share with you a juvenile fiction book that I just loved. It's by Jane Yolen, who is a powerhouse in children's literature. She has written over 300 books, historical fiction, fantasy, science fiction, every type of genre you can think of. Her series, How Do Dinosaurs in Picture Books, is a very popular one in our library. She has won over a dozen awards, and personally, I had a chance to have her autograph one of my picture books a couple of years ago, and I was so excited when this new one came out. It is called Centaur Rising, and it is sort of a historical fiction fantasy matchup, because it is the 1960s, and a centaur, which is a mythical being who is half human, half horse, has been born to a pony on a horse farm after the Perseid meteor showers. Now, Ari, the girl on the front, is part of the family that runs the farm, and her family must figure out how they're going to deal with this strange new event. Paparazzi, nosy neighbors, losing business on the farm because everybody's scared. Her brother Robbie is in a wheelchair because he is a thalidomide baby, so he was born with physical defects, and he's homeschooled because of all the teasing he got in school. And their rock star father abandoned them because of Robbie. Yolen writes a very magical and a very poignant tale about loss and acceptance and coming to terms with courage. It has some nice historical fiction in it because you learn about this is a hard word to say, the thalidomide crisis of the 1950s and 1960s. You learn about the development of horses as therapy animals, and you learn a bit of Greek mythology. Ari is a very strong girl, as is her brother Robbie, and Martha, the worker on the farm. She is really a hoot. The centaur Kai is very endearing. Part of the charm of this book is that kids will learn some new big-time vocabulary in a very natural way through the conversation of the characters. So by the time they're done, they're going to be walking around speaking words like liminal and apoplectic and geyser, and they won't really have realized that they've learned those words. The saddest part of the story is the hardness of Ari's father's heart, and you'll just have to read to see if the centaur Kai is able to change his heart by the end of the tale. So I love this book, and I hope you will too. Centaur Rising by Jane Yolen. And that's all for this month with children's literature. And come back next time, and I'll have some more for you.